so lonely. Sink into your eyes, and all I see, love is an ocean, and you for me. Sink into your eyes, your eyes are...
Back in Outskirt, you started the day the way you always seem to, patching yourselves together with hot food, clean water, and whatever comfort coin can still buy on the edge of the Misty Vale. Anabella kept her distance and her tone, sharp and unimpressed, as if your names were a stain on the tavern's tables. Quasimund was no better, smirking and needling like a man who survives by making enemies feel smaller. And Alfilia? She did what proud knights do when they don't want to acknowledge a problem they pretended you weren't there. Vagnhild, at least, remained practical. She fed you, arranged baths, found you rooms, and, more valuable than any of that, she talked. Business had been slow, she said, because the roads have become treacherous. Rumors of lizard people robbing travelers, dark omens like blood rain returning, and sightings of a dark rider growing more frequent. The Vale felt like it was leaning towards something, and no one liked the direction. Gallio, in one of his brighter impulses, tipped Beaconsay fowls handsomely for her music. I noticed Quasimund noticed. Coin draws eyes faster than blood. You tied up what loose ends you could and even tried, unsuccessfully, to recruit Geordie for your next trip to Bothild's Load. Then you took the road, trading town smoke for cold air, with brief words exchanged with Hardy and Lelth as you passed out through the gate. Outskirt watched you leave the way it always does, relieved you're going, nervous you'll come back. Not far along the trail, you found 3 cultists of Sathmog hanging from a tall oak, swaying like grotesque wind chimes. You didn't linger over questions of justice or executioner. You carefully cut them down and took the rope. Fine, strong rope, because in your line of work, good rope is worth more than sentiment. Then the sky did what the sky in these lands has begun to do all too often. It turned strange. Frogs rained down in a sudden pounding cascade, and you had to scramble for shelter to avoid being cracked in the skull by falling flailing bodies. When the madness passed, you pressed on. You crossed paths again with the kobolds from the Lindworm Cavern. Ramsay tried to build goodwill, offering them food. They accepted it, hungry eyes, quick hands, but offered no real conversation, no meaningful contact, just a tense, wary exchange between creatures who have learned that kindness can be bait. Later, a Kaladin burst from the wilds and lunged for Myro. You woke fast, fought clean, and dropped it without too much trouble, another bloody punctuation mark on the road. At last, you reached Bothild's Load and were escorted to Maladuk. She surprised you immediately. When she saw the banner of Tukruk, she knelt before it with unmistakable reverence, delighted to receive it as a gift. You told her what you'd done since last you met. You showed her the 2 statuette pieces. She took them, snapped them together with a decisive click, and handed them back, telling you, almost approvingly, that you were doing well. When you mentioned Korash Baal, and that you had closed the portal to Sathmog's realm, Maladuk knelt again, this time not for ceremony, but for gratitude. She thanked you for doing what Eladane refused to do, and what her people could not manage for 500 years. That is a heavy statement, whether she meant it as praise, rebuke, or both. Before you left her presence, she gave you your next direction. You must seek the great oracle north of the Load, but she warned you, carefully, seriously, that the ancient spider Sakshal dwells there. Sakshal is older than the Vale's humanoid stories, older even than the first fires your kind lit in these woods, and far more clever than any beast has a right to be. And that is where the week's thread ends, with you standing on the edge of the next myth, holding 2 joined pieces of Eladane's key and walking toward a wily, pre-human horror that has had a very long time to learn how mortals break.